This is Kerry Rego, and she is our speaker.
Hi.
Can you say a few words about yourself, and then we can go ahead.
Sure, no problem. I'm Kerry Rego. I'm based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm a Mac user. And I am a college professor in Santa Rosa, Roanoke Park, California, at the CSU in Roanoke Park. It's called Sonoma State University, and Santa Rosa Junior College. I'm also a consultant and an author.
Wow. We are honored to have you. And we have a great turnout. I was concerned about today because of being so close to Christmas, but we have about 300 people in the room. But we do. We have a good turnout. We probably have about 60, 70 people today.
Great.
Right.
Well, fantastic. Would you like me to launch into the top tools of the day, or would you like me to tell you more about myself?
Yeah, go ahead and launch into the top tools of the day. And I would assume you'll take questions as they come along?
It might be easier to take them at the end, simply because we have a delay in sound.
Okay.
So I've got myself a timer for 45 minutes to make sure that I leave plenty of time at the end. I get really excited, though you won't be able to see how excited I am. You'll only be able to see my screen, but I will absolutely make sure that my excitement doesn't outweigh your questions.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you, and we'll take a look at the slide deck that I'm going to talk about. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So much of what I do is not just talk about the tools. I really, really enjoy them. I have a lot of fun with technology. In fact, my 96-year-old grandmother is my computer mentor, and she was the one that got me going on computers to begin with. So I've been doing this. I'm 40 years old. It's always helpful for people to know how old I am. I look a lot younger. But I've been using computers for about 36 years now. And ultimately, I love technology. And I wanted to share with you why I do it, because I think it's fun. Now, just because I think it's fun doesn't mean I don't understand that it's frustrating and it's difficult to understand and it changes really, really fast. I get that. So a big part of my job is playing with the tools and then helping people learn how to use them so that you don't get bombarded with, that's so amazing and you should use it because I think it's amazing. My goal is to have you use the right tools for you and what you're doing.
Kerry, how old did you say your grandmother was?
She's currently 96.
Okay, well, she's a young woman. We have a 99-year-old woman here, and she looks like $1 million.
You know what? Age is the funniest thing with computers, is that the longer I work with people, the more I realize we're all 5-year-olds trapped in a body. Fear doesn't go away, concern doesn't go away, the fact that we feel stupid doesn't go away. Age has nothing to do with it. So it's a really cool place to be on the internet outside of your body. So it's really about your brain. It isn't about what your body looks like or how it functions. And that's a great egalitarian space to be in. So ultimately, I want to help people play. So I wanted to show you what the top tools are today. Now, social media changes so rapidly that when you're looking up information, the date is really important. And if you see November 2017 at the bottom of this is about as current as we can get in social media. So this is, if you can take a look at this, is 15 most popular social networking sites. Social networking is just one category of social media, but it's the most popular category. It's human interaction. And you can probably see the big blue line is Facebook. Facebook dominates everything. YouTube comes in at a second. YouTube's not primarily a social networking site. It's really about video and education. So if you want to learn how to do absolutely anything, but you're a visual learner, you're going to want to search for that information on YouTube. Or you can simply go to google.com and type in how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich video. Or choose the video from the factor list as they filter out different types of searches. So I highly recommend that video is a fantastic way to learn if you haven't already experienced learning visually through that particular tool. YouTube's also owned by Google, which is, of course, Google is the largest search engine. They have about 93% of internet users use Google, and YouTube is the #2 search engine. So using one of those two tools, you can get information on anything on the planet. Number 3 is Instagram. I'm going to talk about both Facebook and Instagram today. Then Twitter and Reddit and Pinterest. Now Vine is coming in there. It was retired and it's coming back. I think it's interesting that it's even on the list at all. Any other items I've mentioned in here would be VK. VK is Facebook in Russia. And Meetup, some of you may be experienced with. Meetup is the real world gathering of people, much like your Mac user group, where you want to hang out with people that have similar interests, whether it's hiking, knitting, Mac users, video editors, it doesn't really matter. Meetup is really about in-person gathering. So it's an online tool that allows you to meet in real time. It's like a RSVP tool, helps you come up with an idea and say, I want to go to that event. So this is the landscape currently. And there's a couple things on there that you may not have heard of, but I hit a couple that, like VK, that would be a really curious one. We're only going to see that if you're in Russia. So let's take a look at it in another visual way. This really shows you the domination of the landscape. It has 2 billion, with a B as in boy, monthly users. Facebook, when we're looking at this one, there's really no comparison. Since YouTube isn't technically a social networking tool, we can kind of skip over bar 2, the orange one, and look at the gray one. So Facebook is more than double the size of its next social networking competitor, Instagram, which Facebook owns Instagram. I have a saying that what you see in, it's orange here, the colors still correlate to this particular image. Facebook couldn't make cool, so they bought it. And that's how they make acquisitions. Facebook purchased Instagram because it's so popular. And the real difference between the two is Facebook is really for everybody. Instagram is visual. It's all about photos and videos. Now, humans process visuals 60,000 times faster than any other type of content. 60,000 times faster. So Instagram is the golden child. It is the one that is growing at a rate that nobody else can compete with. So if there are 2 tools on the landscape that you should A, be using, A, or B, be familiar with, it's one of these 2 tools. Now, depending on what your needs are or who you're trying to reach, you have other smaller niche tools that will hit different audiences, whether it's LinkedIn for professional, Google Plus, which truthfully nobody uses except for Google employees because they're forced to, and students because they're subsidized. And the rest have slightly different functions that may or may not be useful to you. But it really boils down to Instagram or Facebook when you're in the social sphere. Now, many people think Twitter is really, really important. It is, but unless you're a journalist, you are a politician, elected official, or you're in entertainment, Twitter is largely useless to you. And most people don't understand why everybody's talking about Twitter. It's because if you're watching the news, if you're reading it, if you're absorbing the news in any way, shape, or form, Twitter is the tool that journalists use. They have to use it. So it shows up in every single one of our news reports. Only 23% of US internet users use Twitter. So if you're on it and you don't like it, chuck it. If you're thinking about using it, or somebody's at Christmas, or Hanukkah, you got into a conversation with somebody and they said you should be using Twitter, forget it. Don't worry about it. Let it go. Delete your account if you don't want to use it. Just to give you some freedom on that. But let's talk about the tools that really do matter today. There is no denying that Facebook is king. For the foreseeable future, Facebook will continue to dominate. They're now branching into virtual reality, which is telling me that Facebook isn't just going to be on a desktop, it's going to be everywhere. So I brought Cookie Monster in because he's a great example of pandering. Is there anybody, George, if you raise your hand if you don't like cookies? George, is there anybody in this room that's raising their hand that doesn't like cookies?
No, there's no hands up.
Okay, so this is a perfect example. I didn't even plan that. I just figured I'd ask. Because this is kind of an obvious. Sometimes you'll see something like this that says, like, if you love your child. Who doesn't love their child? Obviously, I love my child. So this is what's called like baiting, engagement baiting. It's pandering. Now, this is a major problem because we've been doing that type of behavior for years. It's actually so unacceptable to the Facebook user that Facebook, just in the last 2 weeks, has decided if you continue to do this, they are going to demote your visibility. And I'll show you what that looks like. These are the new set of reactions. When we were working with Facebook up till about 6 months ago, we only had one option. We had the like button, which is all the way to the left. They recently added a range of reactions. The like still exists. We have love. That flower you won't normally see. You'll only see that for holidays. That flower you'll normally see for Easter or Mother's Day. You might see a gift for Christmas. You might see snow on the first day of winter. So they have rotating seasonal reactions, but they equal the like. They have the same weight. You also have laugh, or LOL, or haha. Everybody calls it different things, but it's basically laughing. Then you have a wow, a sad, and an angry. As far as their weight and what they mean, the like is actually the least useful. It has the least amount of weight in the algorithm. The love is the most weighty, the most powerful. It means the most. So when you're Cookie Monster and you're asking people to like this post if you have cookies, or love this post if cookies are your favorite, Facebook knows what you're doing. And it's actually going to work against you. Sometimes it's called share baiting. Share with 10 friends for a chance to win a new convertible. This might be Walmart's giving away a $20 gift card. Share this with your friends if you want to be entered to win. It might be tag baiting. Tag your friends if you like this post or you think they're interested in it. These are different variations of the same tactic that the users of Facebook can't stand. So, Facebook is actually going to demote your visibility. What does that look like? So when you look at the newsfeed, here's a snapshot of mine earlier today. This is just a small section of it, but when you're on the desktop, we're on the newsfeed, which is what my arrow is showing you. This particular box, this individual post, which is from a magazine called Tech Insider, and it was showed 1 hour ago at the time I took it. This box, it doesn't matter what the content is, it's a content box, and Facebook has to choose between 1,500 and 15,000 posts every few seconds in order to fill that box. So it's really, really important for you to do what you can to be seen in the newsfeed. So if you're a person and you have friends, this isn't that big of a deal. You're going to be seen in the feed most commonly out of any of the types of accounts or people that are using Facebook. But if you're a page, like your Mac user group or a business or a charity, this is really, really, really important. Just like Tech Insider, they had to do things that Facebook liked in order to be shown in my feed. They did everything right. If they had chosen to share or tag or use that Cookie Monster tactic, the odds of them getting shown in the feed are much, much lower. So Facebook will choose not to show your content if you are pandering for engagement, if you're pandering for likes, if you're begging for clicks. That kind of thing doesn't work anymore. And this is about 2 weeks old, so they are adjusting their formula so that they make sure that if you're being spammy, you don't show up in people's news feeds. So you may continue to see it for a little while as they work to get this very tightly oiled, but ultimately those are tactics that will no longer work. So even if you're a person, this is still an issue. It's a bigger issue with pages and groups, but just know that it has to be more organic and a lot less begging, which has been the way it's been done for many, many years. Okay, so something that does get top priority in the feed is video. Two different types of video are really, really important as of now to Facebook, and they, again, just changed this rule. What types of video they're looking for? Video is the most popular form of content. It doesn't matter really what it is. As long as it's a video, people like it. There's a couple types of video that Facebook is recognizing the users like a lot more, and that is if somebody has proactively searched for it, such as Christmas, Obama goes to, brings Christmas gifts to kids. That was a video that was was viral on the internet for a couple days last week, just before Christmas. And if you're searching for that phrase inside Facebook, you are much more likely to find videos that people are searching for because they're interesting by nature of people proactively looking for them. The next is the type of video that people go back to regularly. So if your user group reports or puts onto your page, if you were to have a Facebook page, the videos of your speakers or slideshows that are turned into videos, and your members regularly visit the page looking for those videos, those types of videos, they're series-based or episodic, or they are regularly recorded like a television show. Facebook is rewarding content creators that are creating on a schedule. It's funny that our pendulum has swung back the other way. We went from live television, or we would know exactly what time, 9 o'clock on Friday night, we would watch the same show every Friday at 9. Then we went to on-demand video, YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Roku, that kind of thing, where we can watch whenever we demand it. Now we're swinging back the other direction. Facebook really, really wants to be the next CBS, CNN, ABC, Fox. They want to dominate viral content, but users do like reliability. So if they're looking for your content or they're visiting your Facebook page or profile, looking for that consistent content that you put out every Wednesday or every 2 weeks, you're going to get rewarded and your videos will be seen much more highly. So videos, top priority, but there are a couple different kinds of videos that people really, really like. So those are the two biggest things you need to know about Facebook today. There's actually a side version of Facebook that you may not be using yet. Facebook Messenger. Now this, a few years ago, there was a big hubbub around this particular tool. This used to be just a chatting function inside Facebook. Well, they actually decided that they wanted to compete with some apps that are much more popular in Asia, such as WhatsApp and WeChat. Those particular tools are smaller versions of full-blown desktop tools. In Asia, the average internet user doesn't have a desktop computer. They don't have this space, they don't necessarily need it, they're much more mobile than we are. So their apps actually allow people to send money. So Facebook split off Facebook Messenger, which was previously just a chat tool, and created a walled app. You can choose to download it or not download it, but the reason they broke it off from the main tree of Facebook is that they wanted to be able to send money, and they needed to be able to do it securely. Risk management wasn't going to allow Facebook to keep this chatting function inside the larger garden of Facebook, which is full of security concerns, which you're probably already familiar with. So the risk management companies demanded that Facebook set aside a whole new tool, and it really allowed them to expand. So here's some of the features that this free app allows. You're already familiar with the instant messaging. We also called it chat at one point, but really the ability to instant message, pretty simple. But you can also call people for free inside Facebook Messenger. Now we have 2 billion users of Facebook a day. So making phone calls through Facebook is a viable opportunity. It can be an audio call or video call. You can send photos and videos to people individually. You could send a map or a location, especially if you're meeting up or you're in different cars. You can send stickers, little emoji type graphics that move. There's a wide variety of different types of stickers. Sometimes they're GIFs, sometimes they're just plain stickers. You can send audio messages. My best friend lives in Minnesota. I never see her. She sent me an I love you message the other day, just 3 seconds. All it said was, I love you. It made me so happy to hear her voice. Especially if you're in a different time zone as somebody else, it can be a challenge to sync up your times. There are also robots, which we call bots, which if you're looking up, let's say, a flight time and you check in with United, companies are building artificial intelligence robots to communicate with you inside Facebook Messenger if you want to use them. They're not particularly useful, I think, yet, but you may already be interacting with bots and not be aware of it. Apps of all kinds, games, and visual stories. So let me show you what the stories look like. If you're on your desktop computer, you can see my status update to the left side here. But right next to it is a representation of stories. That's my Aunt Nika, who I never see, and then that's Carmen Pereira, who is a model and an activist. So I follow Carmen's page, but of course Nika is a family member. So they put stories in the same location. And I'll tell you what they look like in just a moment. But if you're on your mobile device, which 55+% of Facebook users use it from their mobile device, this is a laptop, this is a phone or a tablet. That's what makes it mobile, is that you can pick it up and use it on the go. The main function of stories is that they last only 24 hours. So this is an expiring communication. We call it ephemeral messaging. This is what made Snapchat stand out for years, is that they were the first app to get popular for ephemeral messaging. It disappears, it turns into a fog, it dissipates, it goes away. Snapchat is no longer the only tool that does this. Just about every other social networking tool out there has adopted this feature, and Facebook is pushing it very, very hard. So Facebook users don't seem to like stories all that much yet, but I anticipate that will change soon. So here's an example of some of the things that you can do inside a story. They have, you see the circles at the bottom of the screen? I just flipped through and made some choices. I chose the wizard hat, and it gives me the whole gray beard. It's lots of fun to play with. So if you ever see somebody on their phone laughing, sometimes they're trying on these face filters. A bunny, I have a bunny at home, so this one always makes me laugh. I don't actually really post to Facebook stories. I do like to test the filters to see what they're building, just to see how they function. And the bunny one, there's one right next to it that puts a cat sitting on top of your head. It's just really silly, good fun. This is a great way to bond with your grandchildren. There's nothing like being silly to make people smile, to get closer, have a good time. You don't always have to be really serious. So this is a great way to interact with younger people, to send photos back and forth, to play together. Some of these filters are two-face filtered. So if it's at Christmas, or you're at a family dinner, and you're with your grandchild, or your niece or your nephew, if you open up one of these filters, sometimes it will say, find another face, and you will both become wizards, or both become bunnies, or whatever filter they have today. They change them fairly regularly. You also have the ability to simply draw on the screen. And this right panel shows that there's a palette that allows you to change the color. It just came up blue and I left it that way, but I could have changed it to any color I wanted. I could write simple text, or I could draw, like those arrows. So this is a great way to add sections or send a visual message. And remember, people process visuals 60,000 times faster than any other type of content. So though I've typed into this third panel, I have the opportunity to add stickers or other variety of visual elements that make it more interesting than just black and white plain text. That status update on Facebook's getting kind of stale. So they're trying to jazz it up with color, visuals, stickers, etc. to keep people interested. All right, so the next is that you can see, here we go. This is inside Facebook Messenger. So this version is just the photo part of it. But when we're looking at it here, you can see what Facebook Messenger looks like when you open it up. The home, that arrow is showing you the menu at the bottom. And we're starting to see menus in mobile apps at the bottom because that's where your thumb is. So websites on the open internet have menus at the top. They've redesigned it at the bottom, and not everybody's noticing it yet, so I'm pointing it out to you. So the home button is where your individual messages, one-to-one, you send a message to your grandchild or your sister, that's the home section. People is where all of your contacts are, where you can find a new person to talk to, somebody that's already your friend on Facebook. The camera is where the stories are, which I just showed you with my wizard and my bunny. The games are fun. There's all kinds of interesting things. I always load Mahjong and Solitaire on every machine that I own. So those are my go-to games, but you might have others that you like to play, Words with Friends, chess, things of that nature. And Discover. This is where new things are constantly popping up. I don't spend a lot of time in Messenger, but I just wanted you to know what's in there and how you might use it. This is a great way to get closer to somebody that you know, to communicate with them, to keep an open line of communication. And it's very common for these social networks to be really crowded and for people to want a little bit more privacy. So this is a way for you to share silly messages with friends that only your friend will understand and everybody else will think you're weird. So here's an example of a conversation I had with my sister. This is an individual screen where I'm chatting with just one person. I sent her a link that I thought she'd be interested in, and she responded she'd see the movie. And the arrow shows the options that I have. I can send her a photo. People love to use things like Messenger or other direct messaging tools to make really silly, horrible faces that you wouldn't want anybody else to see. You stick your tongue out, you cross your eyes, that type of goofy stuff. This is really the place for that. And she's my sister, so this is where we're going to say the goofiest things that nobody else will understand. So I can take a photo, that's what the camera is. I can choose something from my iPhone. I can send her an audio message. I can write text. I could send her a smiley face. But that plus, when I click on the plus, that right panel shows that I can send her money. I can send her a location. We can play a game together. We can plan on Christmas and who's going to give who what gift, stickers, etc. So this is how one-to-one you're going to interact with those particular functions with just one person. And the odds are, if you're going to use Messenger, you're probably only going to use it with one or two people. You're not going to use it with all 300 of your friends, or however many that you have. And you can add new functions. We could share Apple Music if we wanted to, and there's a wide variety of other things that we could do inside Messenger, and it's growing every day. So direct messaging apps are the second level of social networking. Whether you're using Instagram or Facebook or any of the other tools, they're all investing a heavy amount of technology and investigation on getting their users to use private apps inside their system. So that is Messenger, and a dominating, massive section of Facebook that you may never have noticed before. Messenger is available on desktop, but it doesn't behave the same way. It's basically just chat on desktop. If you want all the functions, features, colors, and bunny faces, you're going to have to use it from a mobile app. All right, so let's talk about Facebook's little sister, Instagram. She's coming up really close behind, and at some point she may soon pass. I don't know if that's really possible, but Instagram, if Facebook didn't own it, Facebook would be in trouble. So if Facebook's for everybody, Instagram tends to be for people under the age of 40. But that's not going to be that way for long. Because it's a Facebook tool, everybody's going to be encouraged to use it. Now, Instagram is mobile first. It really only functions from a mobile device. You can look at Instagram from your desktop, but you can't really use it. So let's look at how it's laid out. This is the home. This is my home feed. This is the very first shot I saw when I opened it up this morning. It happens to be a historic monument that burned in the recent Tubbs fire. I live in Santa Rosa, and that was the center of the Northern California fires. We lost this monument. It's gone now. So there are a lot of beautiful photos that people are sharing to remember it. This man, his name is Keith, he actually runs economic development and all of the social media for the town. So he's actually tagged the location. It says Red Brown Barn, Fountain Grove. So this is the home or news feed, the same way Facebook would have it set up. Again, I'm looking at the menu bar at the very bottom. It has a magnifying glass, which allows you to search. And I'm going to go into each one of these so that you can see what they look like. Just wanted to give you an overview. The plus is where you're going to upload a photo. You're going to add to Instagram. The heart is notifications. People that have liked your account, your images, people that have followed you, that kind of thing. And the little person all the way to the right is your profile. Now, right underneath the round barn photo, there's actually some dots, and it also says 1 of 6. This is an album. Instagram used to be just single images, but it has expanded rapidly. And let me show you some of the features that it has. Now, up top, it does show a camera in the upper left-hand corner. Instagram also has stories. Remember I said Snapchat was the first? Well, everybody else has stories now as well. The funny part about stories is that even though Snapchat was first, by the way, I don't use Snapchat, don't like it. Millions of other people, they're going to redesign that tool because nobody under the age of 25 can figure out how to use it. So they're about to redesign that app. But Instagram picked up the stories feature before Facebook did, and Instagram stories, just that strip at the top, gets 200 million users a day, just that strip, which is 40 million more than what Snapchat as an entire tool gets. So Instagram's function, just this one function, dwarfs all of Snapchat. Instagram does it better. The quality of photography is much better. So the camera is where I'm going to upload to my story, and I'll show you again in a moment. The paper airplane in the right corner is a direct message if I want to talk to a friend. And my profile photo all the way to the left, it says you, and it has a blue plus. That's where I'm going to add to my story. So let's keep going through so you can see more of what this looks like. So I opened up some stories this morning. This is on the left-hand side, a student of mine. She's in Prague for Christmas. So I'm enjoying watching her travel all over Europe and volunteer her time and have fun at night. So she has taken a photo with a friend, drawn on it, put a sticker. Inside, this is a woman I don't know. Shared cake, not sure why. So I got some arrows to show you that if I were to tap on the left side of the screen, it would rewind, because stories can have chapters. The cake has 3 chapters up at the top. I'm only currently in the first chapter. If I tap on the right side, I can fast forward. Especially if somebody records, several different images or videos inside their story. You can move through it if it's kind of boring. You can respond with a photo or a written message. And you can also send it private to a friend. There's a lot of functions, and you're not going to remember them all. But I'll make sure to send the slideshow to George when I'm done, so that you can access it through any of your sharing functions as your group. So when I go to the menu at the bottom, the second option is search. And the left panel shows a smattering of content that Instagram thinks I would like, based on what I've already interacted with, based on the types of accounts I follow, based on my likes, comments, shares, etc. So these are a sampling of things they think I might like. Now, on the right-hand side, it shows what happens if I enter into the search box that's at the very top of the screen. And I search the term Apple. Now, at the very, I do have some filters there. So they're top-rated accounts. Of course, Apple, the company, shows up at the very top. That makes lots of sense. That means the algorithm is working. I could find people that have Apple in their name, tags or hashtags, or places. And I can see actually all 3 of them in this screen. As an example, Apple, the hashtag, has over 20 million posts inside Instagram that have the term Apple tagged in the caption. This is how people find you. So if you're using Instagram and you want to be found, not everybody does, but if your business or organization is using Instagram, and let's say you are a soup kitchen or a food bank, you're going to put into your caption of a great photo of people that are donating their time and packing bags and serving food. You might tag that photo as "End Hunger," or "Feeding People," or "Food Bank." Now those tags allow people to find you. And that's a really important function inside Instagram. People aren't going to find you just based on your name, and they won't find you necessarily through Google. If somebody opens Instagram, this is their search engine. And it functions the same way any other search engine does. This is only going to search inside Instagram. So you have a variety of ways to find people, accounts, and content, and this is the main section to do that. Right. So I've gone on that bottom menu to the heart. This shows me who liked my post. Looks like I got a like 6 minutes before this particular screenshot. I see somebody followed me. You would also see a comment in here. I don't have any comments within that screen. And I also have a business account. So at the very top, you can see shortcut to promotions or ads. But you can see who's followed you. If you, like the Armory store, they followed me 5 hours ago. What I did is I clicked on their name. I looked to see who they are, what they did, And if I was interested in them, I might want to follow them back. I chose not to. It wasn't content I was interested in. But let's say you would like to build a relationship with that person. Go back and look at their account, and if you want to interact with them, like a couple of their photos. There's a like button at the bottom of every photo, or excuse me, it's actually a heart. You can tap the heart or double tap the image. Both of those will do the same thing to make it appear as if you've liked it. You can also look to see who that particular account likes. It's kind of like looking at somebody else's bookcase. What books are they reading? Who do they like? If you find somebody that's of interest to you, the people that they're following might also be of interest to you. That part about liking one or two of their more recent images, it is considered creepy for you to scroll back months and months and months into somebody's feed. You can see the timestamp. You can see how old a photo is. If you go back 6 months or a year or longer into somebody's feed, that they get creeped out. So if you're going to like something that's within, the last few months, or something that's close to the top, so that it doesn't look like you're stalking them. It's a little behavioral thing, but helpful to know. All right. So here's what your profile looks like. I have a business account. Doesn't make a difference if you have a personal account or a business account. They function the same way, but the formatting looks ever so slightly different, which is why if you have an Instagram account, yours might look slightly different than mine. So I'll point out the differences. But we have my account name, that kind of thing, how many posts I've put out, how many followers I have, how many people I'm following. It's a good idea to have more followers than who you are following. It makes it look like, it can look a little desperate if you are following 1,000 people, but you only have 2 followers. That looks strange to the viewer. Mine is slightly different than yours because mine says business consultant underneath my name. It allows me to categorize myself. I also chose to have my address because I have a physical location. That's really the only true differences. And in the upper right-hand corner, I do have the ability to see how my posts have performed. They give me some analytics. But overall, Instagram works the same way, regardless if you have a personal or a business account. And the business account does not cost anything. If I choose to advertise, that will cost me something, but that's not particularly useful for you at this point. You can see I've described myself, who I am and what I do, and I use emojis. Emojis are very, very popular. Those small images that are cartoon pictures. They come on your keyboard, on your mobile device. If you were to use an emoji pretty much anywhere on the internet, people are drawn to them. They like them. They want to touch them, they want to interact with them. So emojis are good. In fact, emojis are 47% more likely to be engaged with if they're in a post. So use emojis in your posts if you can, or if it makes sense, because people like them. You can also see some highlights from some of my stories, some of my favorite stories that I did. I saved just a snapshot of a couple of them. You can see my grid, that blue arrow is showing you. You can see 3x3 images as you scroll through. The next one over is my list view, and that will allow me to just see one photo at a time, and you can also read the caption. In this grid view, you can't see the caption, you can't see how many people have liked it, but the list view will allow you to see that. The next one over, from the blue arrow, is the tag. These are images that people have tagged me in that aren't necessarily mine. They come from somewhere else. And the last one is a ribbon. And those are collections. Those are things I've saved. Things I want to come back to, products I want to buy, things that make me laugh, that kind of thing. So they're albums of things I want to save. Nobody can see those albums. Nobody can see my collections but me. All right. You can also see this little red circle here of my own little heart. I have a notification there. So here's how you upload an image. It's actually that plus at the bottom of the screen. That's how you're going to add an image. Click on that plus, and this is what it shows me. I could choose from multiple locations, all photos or a lot of other photos. I can choose to adjust it with the arrows. I have the option to make a boomerang. It's a looped image, makes it move around, back and forth, makes it move a little bit. I could choose a collage or make an album. The left-hand side is some options of collages that I could have chosen. And it doesn't have to be a repeating image. I could choose multiple images, right? A distant image and then a very close one if I wanted to. Or a before and an after. So there's lots and lots of layouts to choose from to create a collage. And on the right-hand side, I'm showing you me choosing an album. I've chosen them in a particular order. And the last image is actually a video. So this, the screen that you see, it says Family Christmas List. It's a video I recorded on how I stay organized for Christmas. So you can make an album of multiple images or videos. This is great for Christmas. And I think I did the same thing here. If you see in the bottom, there's a photo of me and lots of people. It has a little album image that shows that I think I had 6 different images of us in our matching Christmas jammies. So I could get everybody in there. So albums are particularly useful for lots of different images you want to share. But this really boils down to Kerry, why should I care? There's so much here. Why is this important? These are the reasons. If you want people to see you or find you, if you want them to engage with your content and you want to connect, that's why these tools are important. It's not because they're cool, it's not because they're shiny, it's not because everybody's using them, but actually, it kind of is because everybody's using them. It's not necessarily, you might not need this for business. You might not need it for a nonprofit. You might just be using these tools personally. I wanted to show you a variation of how businesses or people might use them. And if you're still volunteering, you have the opportunity to use your impact, your visibility, your connections with people to support your local food bank, to collect socks for homeless people, to raise money for local schools. You still have the ability to do that without being a business. Your personal connections are even more valuable than what a business can do. So you still have an impact on your community, and sometimes maybe it's just bonding with your grandkids. These tools are all available for you to do that, but if nothing else, it boils down to how do you talk to your 12, 15, or 25-year-old family member? How do you stay in connection with them? These are the tools they're using. So I want you to understand that you can use them too and communicate with them as much as you'd like. So this is the time for questions. I will pop down my screen and have you be able to see me, and we will talk about what kind of questions you have. All right.
Questions? Let's start back there. Jim, I guess.
Yeah. Kerry, it seemed like at one point if I wanted to message anybody on Facebook, I could do that. Now it seems I can only do it if that person is in my contacts.
Yeah.
Do I have that right?
It is. The reason for that is spam. Too many strangers were reaching out to people through the chat messenger function. So they've decided that you really do need to be connected to somebody. And even if you're connected, you still have to give them permission to communicate with you through Messenger or that chatting function. You have to have a tight relationship. It's really about consent. They're going to consent over and over again. I consent for you to be my friend, and then I consent for you to communicate with me privately.
So I was attempting to contact a student of mine from 40 years ago, and I thought I had found him on Facebook. And I tried to get a message to him, and so you're saying this is not an avenue that I can use?
You can. It just takes several steps of consent. They've been doing that for years. I get a lot of interview requests from around the world, and when people try and reach me through Facebook, I generally don't get it as a private message. A private message is only to be used after you've established communication with somebody. It doesn't work as the first communication.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Next, go ahead.
How does Facebook deal with money laundering on their, where they can send money from one person to another?
That's a really good question. Now, they're not even talking about that yet. So that tells me, kind of like the Russian ad scandal, that money laundering hasn't come up as a huge issue yet. Not to say it isn't already a large issue. They haven't had to deal with it yet. They haven't had a scandal. And generally, when a scandal happens, is when we start to hear about it and when they start to release information. So they're dealing with it, but they're dealing with it very quietly, and they're not sharing it with really any professionals yet. So it's just not come up to the surface yet. So I don't have a good answer for you, sorry.
Okay.
How does Facebook find out or research who you are before they allow you to go on any of your platforms? There's one country that makes sure, even before you board a plane, that you are a very secure risk to be in the air with them. What details does Facebook perhaps use to make sure you're a safe person to contact and to perhaps even deal with a business, or as that gentleman said, even deal with any forms of money? How do they research who you are so that they know you are who you are?
A couple different ways that they do that. One, they have, I'm sorry? Oh, I think I'm hearing myself, sorry. Okay. A couple different things. The first thing they do is when you sign up for an account, they look at your search history. They do research on you, and they're looking for public records. They're looking for real estate, mortgage, tax, DMV records, all utility bills, all kinds of things. So the first step is that you are who you say you are. And I opened an account for my cat, and his name is Bolt. And because there is no Bolt Rego in the world, his account was shut down really fast. Now, John Smith, this text won't work for a John Smith. So that John Smith gets passed along behavior. How frequently do they like things? So they're really calculating and remembering absolutely everything you do inside Facebook. They're also buying information from the outside. They're buying information from their third-party tools, other organizations, to track your behavior. They're looking for cookies. They're looking for your internet protocol. They're looking for who are you. But again, it's not a perfect system. So as somebody breaches the wall, as somebody figures out how to hack the system, they have to edit the algorithm and make it better. But it is, it's thievery. Thievery is one of the oldest skills from human beings. So we have to see thieves, we have to recognize them before we can build some sort of an obstacle to stop them. So they're using a wide variety of information from inside Facebook and outside of Facebook. But again, 2 billion users a day, there is really no way they can stay ahead of everything. They can only try and put out the worst fires. And they also listen to the users, and they use the feedback function. So if you report a post, if you mark a post as spam, so they're using the self-community policing function as well. They're using all of these different factors. And the last piece they use is called monitors. Monitors are real people. They're contractors from around the world. They're usually in smaller countries, those with lower cost of living, lower cost of employee, Malaysia, Indonesia, a lot of other countries in that general region, where they will contract with people that sit there all day and read through flagged posts. They're looking for extreme violence, sex acts, scam. They're looking for all of the terrible things that you would never want to see. and it's one person at a time clicking and fixing. So it's a big combination of tools, and they never actually release the entire formula, because otherwise thieves would run away with it and break the system open even wider. So we learn pieces of it at a time. And that's the majority of the tools that they can use to determine how safe you are and whether or not you should be allowed into the system or allowed to stay.
Go ahead.
Yes, my Facebook account was hacked, and I found out it came from New York City, Manhattan. What can I do to see that that does not occur again? What did I do that made it happen?
Well, there's a lot of possibilities. Without doing a tremendous amount of research, we wouldn't know exactly what happened. Some of the best things you can do is make sure you have a password that is unique. And it doesn't have to be one of those crazy ones that Safari gives us. I can't use the Safari password suggestions because I use a different machines in a day. So I have to come up with my own system. It really boils down to using unique passwords that aren't easy to guess and writing them down, saving them in some way. There's a lot of different ways to save passwords, but the most common ways that people are hacked, a couple different things that are the most likely reasons that people get hacked. One, a password that repeats. So if it's the same password as your bank or your email address, if they crack you in one location and they have your password, they will try that password everywhere. So it's really important to have separate passwords. That's one. The next is to, if they have a secondary function like a two-factor authentication, if it's identify with PIN number, a lot of systems have a secondary tool. Two-factor authentication is important. Logging out, if you've logged into Facebook on another device, whether it's at the library or somebody else's machine, you can check in your settings as to what apps have access to your account. If you use the open authorization factor that allows you to log into YouTube using your Facebook account, you log into Netflix with your Facebook account, you log into Meetup or anything else with your Facebook account. If that app or that tool gets hacked, then your Facebook account is also at risk. So making sure you know what has access, what apps, it's in your personal settings, upper right-hand corner. If you monitor that access, monitor what devices have access to your account. Again, this is all in your settings. Just go through there's maybe 6 different tabs in your settings, and depending on which side, okay. Your settings are on the right-hand side. There's an arrow. There we go. There's an arrow up here, and then the settings will pop down, and then there will be a menu on the left-hand side. And flip through everything and make sure you know what devices have access, what apps have access. You can use two-factor authentication, and don't duplicate your password. One more thing. Don't play games inside of Facebook. Messenger is one thing, but the open Facebook games are the most common way that people are hacked. They have a lot of viruses.
Yes.
You said that with Facebook owning Instagram, do you foresee that you could have one account where, Facebook posters are so popular now as spreading memes that you'd be able to use that photo poster between 2 accounts? And then also, there was a recent interview on Book TV. Maureen Dowd interviewed an AI expert saying that what drives the algorithms on Facebook is really rage. So if you have rage, then there's a temporary backlash. When you were saying earlier that what drives visibility is hitting the heart, the love reaction, and you said likewise with Instagram, using the love emoji, that seems contradictory to what some people are saying, that it's really rage that drives the eyeballs on a lot of social media.
The word grange? I'm not understanding the word.
I'm just,
Anger.
yeah. That, how people,
Right.
during elections, there's a lot of rage in fake news that seems to drive visibility. But you're saying that what drives the algorithm is really emoticons and emojis that express love. So I was just curious of that difference of opinion.
So I'm gonna answer the second one first. The reactions at the bottom of every Facebook post have weight and importance. And Facebook says that, this is from a Facebook press release, that the love is the most valuable. So if you choose, out of all of them, if you choose the love, it will be seen as more important and more like, it's just more important. But rage was absolutely a part of it. So any of the reactions are good as far as a visibility bumper, but the best one is love. So if you really want something to be seen more, it's the love button that's the most important. But all of the reactions are good. The one that's the least useful at this point is the like, because it's been around for so long.
But those reactions don't matter if you're on a closed Facebook group. I'm curious when you say that Facebook collects information, do they do that also on closed groups? And then do the reactions matter in the news feed of people's reactions if they're in a closed Facebook group? Those reactions don't get calculated into the news feed priority, right? Because it's private. It's a private group.
Got it. If you're looking for visibility, that's when the reactions matter. If you're not looking for visibility and you're in a secret or a private environment, then those reactions are only for communication. They are calculated into the algorithm because you've overridden that visibility with your secret or private function. But let me answer your first question. Yes, you have the ability in your settings on Instagram to link your personal or professional Facebook. It automatically will choose your Facebook account. It'll set it up so that you can easily link between the two. When I switch to make it a business account, then it's now attached to my business page. But you have the ability to connect your personal or professional Facebook to your Instagram account, and you can push images from one account to the next. You can't go from Facebook to Instagram though, not yet. And your question about how you might have one account, you may very well, you can already do that. You can already have one account to rule them all. I tend to separate my accounts so that I have individual login information with higher levels of security, but you can already do that. And more of a hybrid, I expect to see more of a hybrid as we get closer, as we keep moving.
Marilyn?
I have a little compound question. Our club has a web page. Our Mac Users Club has a web page. Would there be an advantage for us having a Facebook page or an Instagram account? And if we did, how often would we need to post on it? And would people be looking through Facebook for our organization, or is this additional work for our people to keep that going?
Additional work, yes. It's definitely more work. Now, anytime you're thinking about using a channel, the first question is, who am I trying to reach? And if you're trying to reach, it depends on who you're trying to reach, really. Now, Facebook has become really, really crowded. So it's become really hard to compete with Facebook pages. If you don't already have one, I would think very hard about who you're trying to reach and do a little bit of a polling scenario. If you're trying to reach people over the age of 50, then Facebook is still the best way to reach them. Facebook pages are tough. It requires strategy, it requires commitment, and I recommend posting 3 to 5 times a week in order to be shown in the algorithm. They're looking, or in the news feed. They're looking for consistency. They're looking for the fact that you're thinking about what you're doing, you know what you want to do. They're not looking for inconsistent smattering of information that's all over the place. So you have to have a strategy when you're using Facebook, but you're going to reach a wider audience. There's a better search function, and it is the best place to advertise if you should choose to advertise. So Facebook really is dominant Instagram is more fun. It's more interesting. It's less cluttered, but it is dominated by audiences between 25 and 45. So it really depends on, A, who's managing the account. If you have somebody that's really jazzed up, really excited about it, Instagram might be a lot of fun. But then, if you're wanting to share information with your current members and potential members, are they even using Instagram? So it really boils down to who you're trying to attract, and are they using the tool? And the frequency part for Instagram would be about once a day. Every other day.
Any other questions? Yes, back here.
I'm wondering about your first slide where you showed Meetup as part of the equation, but the least preferred. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about what that portends for the future of people getting together or meeting face-to-face at all. Is there a trend here that we should be thinking about?
Good news. Meetup was just purchased. Meetup didn't have a business model. It wasn't a sustainable tool, which is why I believe it was at the bottom of the list. It's a great tool. It works really well. And as people are recognizing the impacts of their mental health, their physical health, their sense of the world, and this last year and a half of social media use, everybody's wiped out. And everybody wants to take care of themselves. So Meetup has a real place. Okay, so because it wasn't a sustainable business model, that's why it was so low on the list. I don't believe that this is because people don't want to meet in person. They really, really do. They want to meet in person with people that are like them, which is why Meetup works. Now, Meetup had to sell itself in order to grow. So a company called Work just purchased them a couple months ago. And what the change is going to be for that is WorkUp is a successful franchise of co-working spaces. And co-working is, for a company like me, I'm a consultant. I can work in a coffee shop. I can work at home, which is where I am today. Or I could work in my office in downtown Santa Rosa. But I just purchased a package at a work station in Petaluma. I have a client that's in San Francisco, and we meet in the middle. And the best place to meet is at not a coffee shop, because I've done that for years and they're too loud and unreliable. So there's a franchise for co-working where we can rent a conference room, a desk, spend an hour there, all day there. So Work is the most successful franchise for co-working in the United States. In fact, it might be the world, but I can only speak for the US. So Work just purchased Meetup. And we're going to see some massive changes in how Meetup is designed, but I don't believe that Meetup is going to go away. I think it's only going to get better because they didn't really know how to expand. They didn't know how to make money. They didn't have the right business model. And so they sold it only because they knew they couldn't do it right. They sold it to the company that can do it right. So keep your eye on Meetup and see how it changes over the next 6 months. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it.
Did I see another hand?
Who owns Work?
Yeah.
Ooh, good question. I don't know the financing background, but I think WorkUp is the home company, if you will. I know that their board of directors is pretty high-powered Silicon Valley type of people. So when you look at Salesforce or Facebook or Work or LinkedIn, they all kind of share board of directors type people. But I believe Work is the top of the list on that one.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
As soon as we get off the horn, I will send you that slide deck, George.
Okay, we really appreciate it. And again, happy holidays and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy holidays and happy 2018.
Thank you.